Hello everyone, welcome back to the Psycho Frontier in Depth. Today we'll be talking about the ICA Guarantee. The ICA Guarantee is a light machine gun unlocked from ICA at faction level 7. Currently it is the only LMG in the game. The Guarantee will cost you 31,000 K marks, it has a penetration value of 23, a direct damage value of 10, a reload time of 3.9 seconds, that is one of the longest times in the game, and a mag size of 40, that is the biggest in the game, with an epic extended mag that will take you up to 60 rounds in a mag. That is a lot of bullets. This weapon has a projectile speed of 28,000 or 280 meters per second, and it has a movement speed multiplier of 0.8, meaning you'll move at 80% of your movement speed with this weapon equipped. This weapon has a headshot multiplier of 1.6, meaning you'll do 60% extra damage on top when you land a headshot. Meaning when you land a headshot, you'll do 16 damage. Since this weapon is the only one of its kind in the light machine category, I don't really have much to compare it to, but it has a fall-off start for a range of 35 meters, and a fall-off end of 60 meters, the same for assault rifles. So basically it gets 5 extra meters before it begins to start losing damage at range. At that 60 meters and on, you'll be doing 75% of the total damage of the weapon, and that is before armor calculation reduces it even further. This weapon has an unequipped time of half a second and an equipped time of 1 second, which is the same as the assault rifles. Moving into more detailed stats, it has a rounds per minute of 667. It's pretty high for a light machine gun / AR category. If I were to compare that rounds per minute to one of the ARs, the Advocate has 571 rounds per minute, and the AR-55 has 545 rounds per minute, so this is pretty quick firing. For example, the slowest firing submachine gun, the ASP Flechette gun, fires at 632 rounds per minute, and this fires slightly faster than that and slightly slower than the KM9 Scrapper at 706 rounds per minute. I also want to add that the hip fire in this weapon is pretty accurate and pretty good, so you can use this thing like a large capacity mag submachine gun if you wanted to. Your average DPS when going for the body is 111, and when you go for head, it is 178. And as usual, since we're talking about a blue weapon, we're using blue armor as a baseline, so keep that in mind. Your time to empty the mag is 3.51 seconds, and your time to kill the body is 0.81, and your time to kill the head is 0.54. Moving into the shots to kill. Your shots to kill for the body on common armor is 9, on uncommon armor or green it is 10, on blue armor it is 10, on epic armor it is 12, and exotic armor it is 12. When we move to headshots, it is 5 to the head for common armor, 6 to the head for uncommon armor, 7 for blue armor, 7 for epic armor, and 8 for exotic. As weird as it sounds, I'm going to be comparing this weapon to submachine guns because of its lower damage and higher fire rate, even though it has good range. And the submachine gun I'm going to be comparing it to is the Asp Flechette. The Asp Flechette has 4 more pen, but also does 1 less damage. And as I mentioned earlier, it is 633 rounds per minute, meaning that it is 35 rounds per minute less than the ICA Guarantee. With those stipulations out of the way, we're looking at the times to kill between these two weapons. And as you can see, the ICA Guarantee overtakes the Asp Flechette in terms of times to kill. I assume that's because of the higher rounds per minute and the range benefit that it has over the Asp Flechette. For those of you wondering why I'm a nutcase to compare a LMG to a submachine gun, it's because of the rounds per minute. It has a smaller damage, but has a higher rounds per minute to make up for that. So it's in between an assault rifle and a submachine gun in my eyes. Moving into my opinions on this weapon, it is a very fast firing weapon and it kicks a lot, so using this weapon at farther ranges isn't a very good thing. You basically want to treat this as like a carbine, and it has a lot of good range, so you want to treat this in between like a submachine gun and AR. It is good for those close ranges, but it's also really good for long ranges as long as you can control a recoil. But because of that higher rate of fire, I don't think it's as good as the long ranges because the ARs in the AR category have a slower rate of fire, so they're typically more accurate over longer ranges. For this weapon's recoil, it tends to kick mostly up and to the right. However, when you get to the end of the magazine, almost to 40 bullets, it starts to curve up to the left. So when you put on the extended mag and get 60 bullets in there, it's going to start cutting sharply to the left in that recoil. If you want to use this weapon as an AR and for longer ranges, I will help you build it differently in the build, which we're getting to right now. Moving into the build, we're going to go with as many recoil reducing attachments as we can. The reason why is because when you have this thing where it has little to no recoil, it's going to basically be treated as an all-rounder. You're going to be able to use this thing at close range, you're going to be able to use it at far range, it's going to be pretty scary. For your optic, I'm going to recommend that you put a holographic sight on this thing. It's going to clear up that sight picture a little bit. The iron sight's kind of like weird to use at close range and long range especially. However, that being said, if you plan on using this weapon at longer ranges, then I recommend putting a 2x scope on this thing and then doing those recoil reducing attachments. For the magazine, you have your pick of the litter. You can pick whatever you want on this thing and it'll work well. However, what I'm going to recommend is you stick the Epic Medium Extended Mag in this bad boy because that gives you 60 bullets of terror on this thing. Otherwise, slap on what you want because it works. When it comes to stock, we're going to be going with the highest quality standard stock you can afford or find in Raid, because that's going to give you reduced weapon recoil. For your tactical slot, there's only one choice, it's the flashlight, and I always recommend one. There is no muzzle slot in this weapon, so we'll be moving into the foregrip, which I recommend getting the best foregrip you can afford or find in Raid. The only one you can craft is the tactical one that reduces recoil, which isn't a bad option. For the rear grip, however, you cannot currently craft any rear grips at all, so you have to find any one you want to use in Raid and then use that one. When we talk about the penetration mod, the converter, uncommon one will reduce your common armor shots to kill from 9 down to 8, and the rare converter will also reduce your shots to kill on uncommon armor down from 10 to 9, and your headshots on blue armor from 7 down to 6. Something real quick I want to mention here, because I forgot to in my opinions, is that when you're aiming on sight, moving around while holding this weapon, you are very loud. Not to mention shooting this weapon, people are going to know what you have instantly in your hands, because it's also very loud. There's no stealthing with this weapon. The sounds coming from this weapon are guaranteed to have them running for the hills. This marks the end of the blue weapons for the Psycho Frontier. I'll be moving into the purple weapons after this. Hope to see you all there. Have a good day, Prospector. Thank you for watching, everyone. With this, I am on the purple weapons. If you wouldn't mind, consider subscribing and hitting the like button. It really helps me out. And if you want to check out more Psycho content, click this playlist on the right. It'll take you to all my weapon guide videos. Have a good day.